Hey everybody, and welcome back to the for loop. And today we are going to create our table inside of the database that we created last time. First things first, let's go ahead and get into our MySQL. So this should be all review from last time, changing the directory, and now we can see what's in there, and we can /MySQL. And then we're just going to go ahead and connect as the user that we set up. So if I remember right, it should be user1, user pass. Okay, and we're in, so show databases. And there's our old database, my database. So let's go ahead and set something up here. So let's use my database. And let's show tables. Semicolon. Okay, so there's no tables in there. So let's go ahead and make one. Create table. And then we're going to name our table my table. Okay, so now it's going to ask us what we're going to put in my table. So we have to tell it what we want. So we're going to do ID, and that's going to be integer and primary key. And what this means is integer means it's a number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, keep going. No decimal points. Those are all integers. ID, every table should have a unique ID because that's how we're going to reference it later. It's faster to reference a number than to reference a string, so you always want to use a number. Then we're going to call this a primary key because we want this column to be unique. We don't want there to be duplicate ones, duplicate twos, duplicates or threes of anything, or fours or whatever. So this is going to be primary key, and what that means is every time we insert a new row, it's going to check the rest of the table to see if that key already or that number already exists. If it does, it's not going to let us run the insert. It's going to fail. So that's why we're going to make it a primary key. Then we're going to have name, and we're going to call it a varchar, which essentially means string. Varchar 100 means it can be a string or a word, for example. It can be a word up to 100 characters in length, and whatever length you make it, that's the length it's going to be. But if you go over 100, it's going to cut it off. If you just wanted to make it a word that's always 100, you would name it char 100, I believe. This isn't really a good thing though, because let's say you have char 100 and it's 100 characters, but let's say you put a word in there that's only 60 characters or 10 characters. It's going to fill the rest of those characters with blank spaces up to 100. And this is actually a big pain in the neck later on, because when you're referencing your table, you have to figure out, well, how many blank spaces are at the end, and you have to trim all your values. It's so much easier to just call it a varchar. It does, of course, take up a little extra power to make a varchar, but it's completely worth it. Trust me, you want to make it a varchar. All right, moving on. Let's do age int, and this is not going to be a primary key. Let's do height, and we'll just make it a double. And a double means a number with a decimal on it. So 1.00, 2.05, 3.5, whatever. Those are all doubles. Okay, so that should do it. So now if we show tables, we can see that we now have my table. And so a little SQL syntax for you all. Select star, or actually, I'm going to start a little simpler. Let's describe my table. And if you remember, this is going to tell us all the columns that are in my table. And if I didn't tell you earlier, every ID, name, age, and height, those are all columns within our table, my table. So it's 4 columns. And so you can see it here. It has 4 columns. It tells you what type it is. It tells you whether it can be null or not, and it tells you if it's a primary key. So now I'm going to select ID. So this is, I'm telling it, show me what's in the table. So select ID, name, age, height, from, so from what table? My table. There you go. So it's saying, well, there's an empty set. And also, what I was about to show you earlier is if you do select star, that selects all the columns in the table. So it gives the same result. No big deal. Okay, let's go ahead and insert a row. So the syntax is insert into my table, ID, name, age, height, values, 1, 8. And you have to always surround a string with single quotes in SQL. Age 10, height 12.23. Okay. Now if we select star from my table, we can see we've got a row and all of our information's in there. What a handy way to store it. Looks like Microsoft Excel. Let's enter another couple of rows and then we can play around with it a little bit. So let's do this. And let's name this one Dave. Dave is actually going to be 12 and he's going to be shorter. So let's try that. This should fail because I have put number 1 as my ID. So it's not unique. It should fail. And there we go, error. So let's go ahead and change the ID to 2. There we go. Let's do it again. And just in case you forgot, all I'm doing is pushing the up arrow, and that takes me to my most recent command that I've given. If you want to go farther up the command line, you just push the up arrow a few more times and you'll get to them all. So let's go 3. And this time we can have a girl's name, Steph. Let's actually do Alicia. I don't care. Okay. She's going to be 14, I guess. And she'll be 20.23 because she's tall. Okay, so let's go ahead and select star again and see what's in here. So now you can see we have 3 rows. Pretty handy. And let's do some cool stuff with our database now. I'm going to insert one more row. And I'm going to put 4. And I'm going to put another girl because we have to be equal. Doesn't really matter what you name them. And she's going to be 3. And she's going to be 2.23. Let's name it 2.3. There we go. Okay, let's look at it again. Actually. Okay, so we got our 4 rows now. And let's do some fancy stuff. Let's select star from my table. And let's say you don't want all your records. You just want records where the ID is a certain number. Let's say 2, for example, where ID equals 2. Simple, right? There you go. You get your ID 2. Let's do where ID equals 2 or ID equals 3. Now you get those 2. How about we do where ID equals 2 and let's do or age equals 10. Let's just keep rolling through these. Or height. Let's just do where height greater than 4. So you can see how we could do a lot of different things. I'm just trying to teach you guys some different syntax. Let's see, height between, I think you can do this, 9 and So you can see all the different sort of things you can do. You can select very complex queries. And we'll do a couple more. I want to show you guys how to delete rows, how to update rows. I feel like maybe there's a couple more things we can do. We can do order bys. We can do groupings. But we'll need to insert a couple more rows to do that. And then in the next tutorial, I'll show you guys a couple of really complicated queries, but it's going to take a while to build up that. I'll probably have to build another table or two because you can actually join two tables together, and there's different ways to do that, and there's a right way and a wrong way, in my opinion, but some people do it differently, so we'll just try it out, and then I can show you the power of tables, and that's really where the power comes in, is when you start to join tables and join data. So what was I going to do next? Let's see. Let's go ahead and insert another row. And this person, Alexa. And let's go ahead and just give her an age of 10. And we'll just copy someone else's. 2.3 is fine. We have to give it a new ID. And let's go ahead and just select star again so we can see what's in there. So there's what's in there. And as you can see, I've actually duplicated age, and I've even duplicated height here, and it's fine because those are not primary keys. And that's going to come in handy later on. So let's do select star from my table, and then where. Let's skip the where. Well, we'll do one where. Where ID greater than or equal to 1. And the reason I did that is just because I want to show you you have to always put the order by after the where. If you put the order by before the where, it panics. So you always have select first, then from, and then a where, and then an order by. And there's actually one more that I'll show you next. So let's do order by age. Oops, semicolon. It doesn't like my greater than or equal to. So let's just do greater than equal to. And let's make it so we can read this. Select star from my table where ID greater than 0. Oh, I put an and in there, that's why. Order by age. There we go. As you can see, the result set is exactly the same, but now it's ordered by age. And you can even go further than that. You can order by age and then height, if you want. And you can see that we had 310, and now we have the same, except for the 10 with a 2.3 height takes precedence because we're ordering by age first, then height. So if there's ever duplicate ages, then it will order them by their height, and so that way you can put sort of an importance on your ordering. And then I believe you can even order by name if you wanted to. So order by name, and then you can put another one on there, name, age, height. You could order by all the stinking ones if you wanted to. So you got order by, I think. So let's do one more. Select star. Actually, it's not select star. I'll go ahead and do it. Select star from my table, and then you would do a where, and then you would do an order by, and then you would do. I'm sorry. Let's clear that. I don't want that to go. So select star from my table, and you would do a where, and then you could do a group by, and then you could, I believe the order by comes after the group by. But anyways, I just wanted to show you the importance, or the order there. So the group by comes after the where. But I'm going to go ahead and skip the where on this one because we don't have much data to work with. So the group by is going to limit our data in the first place, and I'll show you why. Let's say you want to group by age. So that means it's going to go through here and it's going to find all the duplicates and eliminate them. And for that reason, and you might have asked this question already, well, if it eliminates one of these 10 rows, which one's it going to eliminate? Is it going to show Alexa or is it going to show Nate? And that's a great question. And SQL actually doesn't make that decision. It will throw a fit if you select a column. Oh, I didn't even type that right. If you select a column that's not in the grouping. So if you're going to group by age, the only thing you can select is age. If you try and select ID and age, it did that, didn't it? Well, it shouldn't have done that, but it looks like it took the executive decision and picked 1 as the ID, so apparently it just picked the first one. But anyways, it's not good practice to do that, and honestly, most database systems that I've ever used won't allow you to do that because it's not a good thing to do. Because your data set is not correct. It does not accurately represent that your age 10 is equal to ID 1 because there's actually a hidden age in there that's equal to ID 5. So you shouldn't really select those. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out and just select age. This is a better set. And what you can do, which is good practice, is if you wanted to select, or if you wanted to see, for example, how many duplicates there were of age, you could do this little function called count, and you could count whatever you want. I'm going to count star. All it's going to do is count the rows. You can count IDs, you can count ages, you can count whatever. I'll just usually count star. And that's going to tell you how many of each one there are. So you can see there's 1 person at age 3, 2 people at age 10, 1 person at 12, 1 person at 14. Alright, and you can obviously see that you could group by height as well. If you grouped by ID, the data would be the same because they're all different, same with name. So that's I guess a crash course in SQL. I hope it all made sense. I've always thought that SQL is a fairly simple language once you get the syntax. There's not really a whole lot to it, but it can be extremely powerful and extremely complex. And hopefully we can get to that in the next video. And I'll go ahead and build a couple of my own tables in the meantime. And thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys learned something, and I'll talk to you next time.